Labs. No, labs. You know, the place you fillet a frog to impress your middle school crush. Also where more qualified scientists toy with Ebola, and Marburg, and smallpox, which, actually, by international agreement, can only exist in 2 places in the world now that it's been eradicated: a lab in Russia and the CDC's campus in Atlanta. So how do the world's most secure labs ensure that no itsy-bitsy teeny-weeny smallpox-causing virus thingies slip through a crack and, kill us all? In short, rules. Tons of rules about everything from lab design to equipment to how you enter and exit the place, all to guarantee not a speck of air becomes a getaway car for variola. Every microbe handling lab is assigned a biosafety level based on what they do there. The highest is BSL-4, home to deadly airborne microbes that cause diseases with no known vaccines or cures. On the other end, there's BSL-1, for little buggers that don't do much but are better off contained. Then there's what I'm calling BSL-0, places outside the CDC's purview intended to transmit disease: ball pits, lazy rivers, frat house carpets. The 4 real levels build on each other, like Pokemon evolutions, but for biosafety. As I said, your starter is level 1. There they handle microbes that don't pose much risk to healthy adults. Think non-pathogenic E. coli. So harmless. BSL rules cover 3 categories: facility construction, safety equipment, and lab practices, and BSL-1 has the most basic version of each. For facility construction, you just need a hand-washing sink and a door. Safety equipment is simple too. Basic personal protective equipment like lab coats, gloves, and goggles, quote, as needed. And the practices are pretty straightforward. You can work on open lab benches, you must wash your hands, you can't bring food in, so on. For BSL-2, things level up a bit. These labs handle more hazardous stuff like Staphylococcus aureus, which can give you food poisoning, skin infections, and other troubles. But while germs here are more dangerous than BSL-1, they're indigenous to the lab's location. So if they get out, it's not great, but it's not new. BSL-2 lab doors are self-closing, and along with the sink, you need an eye wash station. You also need decontamination equipment like this thing, an autoclave, which uses steam and pressure to sterilize equipment before it gets reused and waste before it gets tossed. Lab coats and gloves are required, and eye protection and face shields come out as needed. At this level, we also introduce another special bit of equipment: the Biological Safety Cabinet, a ventilated workstation that keeps microbes that could travel on a splash or an aerosol contained. Also, if there's work going down in a BSL-2, only authorized people are allowed in versus BSL-1, which may as well be the water cooler. But BSL-2 is for babies. And are you a baby? Of course not. So let's talk about BSL-3, home of microbes that might be exotic to the lab's location or cause deadly airborne diseases like tuberculosis or COVID. So let's upgrade the sink and eye wash to operate hands-free and place them near the exit. The doors will close and lock themselves, and we'll have 2 sets of them. Even the air is designed for safety. Exhaust air does not recirculate, and the space has what's called pressure cascade zoning, meaning there's lower air pressure in the part of the lab where they handle dangerous stuff and higher where they don't. That way, when the airlock between 2 spaces is open, air will flow towards the biohazards rather than giving them a lazy river to the rest of the lab, which would be bad, because, like I said, lazy rivers are BSL-0. Remember this air pressure stuff, by the way. It'll be back. As for safety equipment, all that PPE is now mandatory, with respirators sometimes thrown in to ensure scientists breathe in only the finest, least virus-ridden air. Also at BSL-3, all the work goes down in a safety cabinet, no exceptions, and unauthorized people are never allowed in whether work is happening or not. But BSL-3 is for babies. Are you a baby? No! You came here for the most secure labs in the world. The ones that deal with dangerous exotic microbes that transmit over the air. Microbes that will kill you. You'll be relieved to know that labs working with, hemorrhagic fevers are on the hook for dramatically more safeguards than even BSL-3, and that there aren't even that many in the world. 59 to be exact, as of 2021. BSL-4 labs are quite literally built different. They're physically isolated with independent air supply, vacuum lines, and decontamination systems. The walls are completely airtight. Air doesn't even get out through the outlets. They have lower air pressure than the outside world to make sure that, in the case of a leak, air comes in rather than out. Everything here is filtered. Incoming air gets filtered once, exhaust air gets filtered twice, plumbing gets filtered, then liquid waste heads to a kill tank, and solid waste heads to a sterilizer or incinerator. Work happens in either or both of a Class 3 biosafety cabinet or a positive pressure suit, which gives you a supply of filtered air to breathe and has higher air pressure than the rest of the lab, and at this point, I trust you get why. And here's something fun. BSL-4s are usually pretty small, often a quarter the size of a tennis court, for ease of cleaning. However, they need walkways big enough for people in balloon suits to walk around them without bumping anything or each other, lest important research devolve into one of those inflatable sumo matches. But my favorite thing about BSL-4? Thanks for asking. It's what an absolute pain it is to enter or exit them. Picture this. You overslept your alarm, so now it's 8:30 and you're only just arriving at the door to your Ebola job. Work starts in 30 minutes and you're here, but you're probably going to be 15 minutes late because you need to credential yourself through the access door, change out of your clothes, bypass the shower room, put on scrubs, grab your suit, confirm its gloves haven't expired, test your suit for leaks, patch any you find, put it on, bypass the chemical shower, then scan through another control door, maybe with your retina like a little spy, then you're at work. But oops, you left your reading glasses in the car, so now you have to leave, i.e. take a chemical shower in your suit, then de-suit, then take off the scrubs and take a normal shower, then leave. Now, I assume between the normal shower and leaving you put your normal clothes back on, but that actually wasn't mentioned in my source, so maybe it's standard practice to leave BSL-4 in the nude? Would be cool. Now, as I said before, some of the most secure and high-stakes labs in the world, even among BSL-4 joints, are at the CDC's campus in Atlanta. The latest was built in 2005 and was intended to last 50 years, but now they're saying it's going to be obsolete far before then. So now, rather than shut those labs down for years of renovation, they're building a whole new one known as the HCCL, or High Containment Continuity Laboratory, which will have BSL-3 and 4 labs and reach a whopping 160,000 square feet of floor space. That's over 3 football fields, or about 2 football fields. A handful of firms won contracts to design and build it, with the lead constructor being a company that's built more than half the gross square feet of BSL-4 labs in the entire US, because not that many people know how to make these things, as it turns out. But who built the other half, you may be asking? My parent company, Wendover Constructions. What, you think these videos pay for themselves? Okay, we don't pay our bills with construction gigs. Instead, we have wonderful sponsors like Ground News. It's a news platform that makes it easy to see where your news is coming from and the bias that might be behind it. And not to be all now more than ever, but with a big election cooking up in the United States and, well, the general state of things everywhere, it's never been more important or more difficult to figure out who's telling you the truth and who's an AI trained on alt-right podcast transcripts. That's where Ground News comes in. You put in a story, like this one about the CDC spotting bird flu in my wonderful state of Colorado, and you can immediately see the political biases of the outlets covering it. In this case, they're mostly left-leaning, so there's a good chance people who mostly stick to right-wing news sources haven't heard about it. You can also quickly see which sources have a good track record of getting their facts straight and who owns them. To put it simply, Ground News, well, puts it simply. They show you all the forces at work behind your news, allowing you to come to your own conclusions based on the most accurate information out there. And good news! Right now, Ground News is offering 40% off their Vantage subscription through my link, so go to ground.news/halfasinteresting or click the link in the description to support an independent news platform, them, and an independent video making wahoo, me. And thanks in advance.